G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute today. I'm joined by the old man Algrid. How you doing, buddy?
I'm well, old hairy man yourself.
Yeah, I do need to have a
The
shave.
the
I'll
bearded
track that down.
yeti,
Yes,
the
buddy
abominable
man.
snowman.
Yes. What do they call you? The Orange Man. Anyway,
That's right.
uh,
Hey,
so
order of orange,
the
mate.
double
Order of
pun there.
orange.
But anyway, um, before we start today, I'm just gonna do a little bit of housekeeping. So I will be doing episodes with the other Inforunners that turn up day by day on the anniversary sale, again for every 10 days. So every time, just after they come out, I'll talk about them, my recommendations, their recommendations, all the little nitty gritties, and I'm probably going to go in a little bit more depth this year on who the ships are better for, and stuff like that. So if you are a low tier person, so as in a budget person, and that is going to come a little bit
Be
after.
aware if you do like origin ships, Execute will not be
It's
recommending them, and you'll
it's
need
the
to go to one of the other Inforunners to get the good oil.
it's the day I want to stay in bed. Right, let's just put it that way. Then one last thing, Osiris is the only Inforunner that doesn't have his Gladius from the referral code. So I'd really like it if we could get a couple of referral codes for Algrid. You'll find down in the description below, not Algrid, sorry, for Osiris. Down in the description below, we've got Osiris's referral code. It's been sitting there for 9 months, and he's got 1 referral. So it'd be really cool if we could get that up to, I think he's got like 2 or 3. So if we could get like 5 or 6 referrals for him and just push him over the line, that would be really great. We don't ask for much here, but that'd be a real cool way we could help Osiris out. So with that said and done, we don't usually do bookkeeping, or what do you call it, housekeeping, but we'll move on to the actual show. So today is basically a show. I don't even know how to word this properly, and we did struggle with the title, didn't we, Algrid?
We did. We went back and forwards and struggled with the yeah.
the
It's a
wording
tough
of it.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this kind of came about. It's like, for me, it's kind of like marketing then and now. So like how marketing was a lot back in the heyday, and all the changes that have been made, and they're becoming a lot more. And the word I would use is predatory. Would you agree with that, Agrid, or is that too harsh?
Yeah, I think that's a phrase we've used in the past. It's very EA.
Yes,
Is how it often feels.
That is definitely a term that is thrown around a lot. They're feeling more and more like EA. So I think we've got like several notes here I've got up on my other screen, and I think we'll start off with the kind of way. Well, let's start with me and you, right? So me and you used to buy gift cards, and we used to kind of save up the money and then buy the ship that we wanted to buy. Now that is really, but there's two phrases to how that is now, though, isn't there? And I'll let you explain how it is with the gift cards right now and why a lot of people still don't do it, though. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, basically, with gift cards, I'm told that if you have gift cards still as gift cards, you can contact CIG and they will kind of credit them as new cash. But it is a case by case process. It is a matter of contacting CIG, and if there's a sale on, or an F5 sale on, or a limited stock, you're gonna you do miss out. So there's that fear of missing out,
You don't have
of
that
not being
time
able
to get them converted,
yeah.
is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep. And so that poses a problem in that regard. But the other thing is, if you're just using credits, which, if you melt your gift cards to turn them into credits, then you're losing out on the discount of being able to use them towards the war bond. So,
and so
major problems in that sense.
In regards to what you and I used to do, was we used to buy them week to week or month to month or whatever, and save up and then just buy the ship. So if we wanted to buy a bigger ship, you could literally like put your pocket money away like you were a kid and save up and buy what you wanted. You can't do that now.
Yep.
And it's kind of created this kind of, and I hate to say it, but it really is a bit like this, a class system where if you don't have the money to outlay $1,000 for that really big ship that you want, right? You can't get it, and you can't also, like you used to do. You could start out with and Algrid will tell you, we all started out with starter ships, and we upgraded that one starter ship all the way up to something big, right? We all did that, and that's why I've got 2 Polaris as an example. because I upgraded them all the way from something small all the way up. You can't do that anymore because there's now almost these three distinct class systems. And what I mean by that is you've got the top end stuff that's above $1,000 where you have to buy outright or you have to buy with credit and devalue your purchase quite substantially so, and it just sneakily is very just below the 20% threshold of most countries' tax benefits. So it's more beneficial for you to do that than to turn it back into cash. Very sneaky on CIG's part. Or if it's in the middle tier, are ones that have gone limited. So I'm talking things like Polaris's, Pioneers, Hammerhead, Nautilus, and potentially the new Perseus will all be limited. So you can't just say upgrade your Reclaimer to a Polaris. You can't do it anymore. The CCUs just do not exist.
And you have to, and if they do exist, they're a very limited time frame to get them, which makes them harder to get as well.
Or you're going to pay someone on the black market to get one at a premium price. And even then, at the premium price, at least you can get it. You know? So if they look at it and go, oh, that's worth $200, you will happily pay the $200 because it's cheaper than melting and going backwards and trying to do it with CIG. So CIG have kind of done themselves a little disservice there. Sorry, go ahead.
And yet I can understand why they've done that and why they've made the credit option so hard. Because people used to, you know, oh, new ship's come out. I'll buy one with cash. It's now LTI. I'll melt it. I'll buy another one. I'll melt it. And well, back in the days when you could buy LTI with credits, you'd buy one, melt it, buy one, melt it, and you'd just melt and unmelt, or you'd melt it and then use that saving credits to buy the next one, and you just keep doing that to build up stock. And great marketeers were doing it all the time.
But there are things in place that have stopped that now, Agrid. And so those rules that have now been put in place don't need to really necessarily exist anymore. Things like the buyback tokens for credits, you can only get one a quarter now. And if you still buy it with cash, it's totally fine. And that's fine because then it is new money for CIG.
Yes, but if I was a grey marketeer, I'd buy, say, the Perseus for one Perseus and melt it.
Yep.
With the credits I had, I'd buy another one and melt it. And then I'd use those same credits to buy another one.
Yep.
When I'm selling it as a grey marketeer, I don't worry about buying with credits because I'm paying it with cash and then selling it off for profit. And so that problem never impacted me. But when I'm selling them off, I'm actually making money hand over fist. And so, but on that initial sale, CIG wasn't really making, we've sold 10,000. How much have we got? Oh, 450.
But now you can't do that,
What?
Hagrid. To use the Perseus as example, we know the prices are roughly going to be $600 and $675. So every time you're melting it, you're losing $75. So if you're going to repetitively keep doing that, you're losing $75. That stops them from doing that.
Yes, because now you've got that credit price and the war bond price.
Yep. So that is good to bring up though, because that's a difference between then and now, and that's what I mean. Like that was put in place back then, but now other things have come into play that don't need to be. That's a relic. It doesn't need to be there anymore, and now it's actually stifling actual genuine backers that want to put money into the game, like myself and yourself that used to buy gift cards and save up. And so it is becoming, what I'm trying to get at with this class system is it is literally meaning because you can't save up, if you don't have $1,000 to splurge like that, there is no way for you to, yes, and I know I can see the comments right now, you could just save up and buy it yourself, but people don't do that. Like it is a psychological thing. You go look it up. Most people do not put money aside like that. Unless they are really driven or motivated, and not everyone is.
And even if people are motivated to save up the money and put it aside in an account, it is significantly harder to spend $1,000 of fresh cash on a pixel video game than say spending $25, $25, and having $1,000 of credit which you can spend on that video game.
Yep.
So. And like I say, being one of the whales of CIG who have got multiple ships, I think I've at least got some inkling of what I'm talking about in that regard.
Yeah. No,
Because
I
I've got chronic
not only that,
severe
Algrid,
acute.
you talk to a lot of other people that in the because you're in that Mile High Club too, aren't you? Or what?
Yep.
There's isn't there? What's the chat room that you go into on Spectrum and talk to other people that are like yourself? Is it
Yeah,
Legato? I don't know.
the
What's it
Million Mile
called?
High Club.
Right. And how many people would you say are in there? So these are the whales of the whales, are they not? Like these are the
These are the whales. The whales. I would have to go in the chat and look. But I do know that they used to say there were less than 100. I have heard there's now around about 150, 170 people who own the who have Million Mile High Club status. That includes the original big backers, as well as those who acquired the Million Mile High Club via referrals, i.e., making videos and getting people to join that way.
Do you reckon they would agree that it's hard to access some of those bigger ships these days, especially those that have been there for a fairly long time, like yourself?
A lot of them, I think, are feeling disenfranchised.
And I think that kind of carries across the entire community, quite honestly. And let's kind of hit the elephant in the room here, so to speak. This game does need to raise money to keep going. What we're trying to kind of say here is, if you, instead of locking it down, if you opened it up, I think people would be more enticed to spend. Like, because I would be more enticed to spend if I could buy the ships that I want a lot easier. And I can't just go, here, have $1,000 CIG, but I can take a ship that I have that's $500 and add another $500 and get the $1,000 ship, right? And I think a lot of people will tell you that they would rather consolidate and get one big ship than just keep throwing fresh cash at CIG. And by the same merit, I know there's people that want lots of little ships and they've bought heaps of lots of little ones, but I think you would find more people own lots of little ones than one big solid big ship.
But I think a lot of people own the little ships, really, because they're looking at CCUing them to the ships they want down the track. And I'd posit the idea that most people who have half a dozen or a dozen Auroras or Talons or whatever it is they've got with LTI, have basically got those ships, and they've got the CCUs for those ships up to what they want. And they're just sitting on them because applying CCUs is often a nightmare.
Yeah, and it's dangerous too.
The standard advice we give people is, look, if this is a limited CCU, don't apply it until you know. Don't apply it, because you stuff it up, you melt that ship to go back, and you've lost that CCU. You've got the cash there, but getting that CCU back might be a problem. And if your ships have gone up in value, the CCU goes up in value, so it becomes a nightmare.
Or the ship comes out and it's not what you thought it was. There's
another
one.
and that's the other one. Like, how many people bought an Andromeda or a Phoenix based on what was originally said in the sales, and how many people have still got them? And I've still got mine, but I'm a collector. I struggled. I don't like it. It's a lemon, but I can't get rid of it because
you've got too many of them. I know. But first world problems, Algrid. No one's going to be able to relate to that. Only that.
That's right. That's right.
Whale Club, or the blue whales. I might have to start referring them to the top end ones. Look. So the other thing that me and Algrid have noticed that we talked about before the show was this new troubling trend that we've only seen it twice, but we're wondering if it's going to be a thing, right? So we're just going to bring it to your attention now, that we think they might be trying to flood the low end market with cheaper ships to increase sales through volume. And what do we mean by that? The Talon surprised everyone. Well, I think, I don't know. It surprised most of us, did it not? I think every Inforunner
I suppose it certainly surprised the Inforunners. We weren't expecting it to be as cheap as it was, being an alien ship and being we were expecting at least $10, $20 more.
Yeah,
I think.
And the price, I was expecting almost like $150, almost on equal par with what the light scout was, because it's a light fighter, light scout, but it is slightly undergunned, so I guess you could drop $20-$30. So I was thinking like $125. It's the same thing with the Nomad pricing now. We've heard leaks on the pricing being around $70. Now that's his war bond. Now that is incredibly cheap for what I thought we're getting. It's internalized.
Especially when we're looking at being a professional starter ship.
Yep.
So you look at the other professional starters, and the price we were expecting would have been almost double.
I think Hader and I said 125 when we first speculated on it. But the point I'm trying to get at is it's literally now the cheapest profession starter. It's actually $20 lower than the Herald. And you think of the Herald, what's in the Herald, that's not a big ship. And this ship appears to be, a bit bigger than that. It is a cheaper manufacturer, but I'm kind of digressing here. The point I'm trying to get at is if they have those two ships and they flood the market where lots of people buy them, like Agrid's suggesting for LTI tokens, or people, oh, it's just $70, I'll just pick it up. That ship is going to be super common in the game, and it kind of devalues it slightly, but it also, because they've dropped it by, I don't know what the original price will be. Like I kind of said, around about $125. If they've dropped it by $50, they're going to make that up on volume. Because more people are going to buy.
They'll sell 5 instead of 4, or
exactly, or more like they're going to sell 4 instead of 2, or whatever. People are going to pick up. People are more inclined to pick it up because it's cheaper. It's easier pill to swallow, so more people are going to pick it up. But on the other end, when you get to the medium and high, no difference, because those people that can afford to buy them, as in those, if you're putting in the class warfare, as in first, second class, and third class, those first and second tier people can afford their ticket, so to speak, on the Titanic or the train or whatever you want to call this game, and they can afford to buy those big items. But now, with them not being able to save, a third class person cannot save to get to the first tier class ticket. It's just not possible, and I find that really disheartening, because it really does make this a pay-to-win game, and it's a rich man's game, and it's sad. I don't want that to be the case. I want this to be an all-encompassing community where we can all play together, and it basically means the only way a third-class person is going to get to first class is once the game comes out that they work together, or they're in an org. You tell me, Agri, what's your take on that?
Well, there are ways that, like, I'm just thinking of a PU at the moment. You can buy an 890 jump, which is the biggest, most expensive ship in game at the moment.
Yep.
And I think it's 15 or 20 million or some obscene big price.
Right.
So you can do it, but if you don't do the cash over the counter, you've got the grind. And I think that's where it comes down to, the grind versus, delayed gratification or instant gratification. And buying it with cash is your instant gratification. Grinding is your delayed gratification. You'll get it eventually. You've just got to work for it.
Is that a really subtle, polite way of telling me it's just a game? You're going to have to work for what you want in game anyway? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. I think there's a point where you want to be able to buy the ships. If you've got the money, you want to be, or the ability, you want to be able to melt the ships you've got to get the ships you want. And you shouldn't cop the price hike, in a sense. You should be able to, if you've got the cash, you should be able to buy the ships you want. But on the other side, it is a game, and everyone will be able to get those ships, and I think most of those ships will be devalued down the track. I know there are people who, or I've heard of people who have bought the 890 jumping game.
Yep.
Is that a problem for me? Like, I own the 890 jump. I bought an 890 jump. Does it bother me? No. Yes, with a patch wipe in PTU or PU, it is currently going to be wiped, but eventually, when the game's live, those same people are gonna earn those ships and get every ship in game. It's just that
you are funding the game and you are kind of boosting yourself forward. I can see the advantages of purchasing in that. This is a slippery slope, because there is pros and cons from both sides. But I think the thing that annoys a lot of people is, because it's a digital product and the game is not yet released, not being able to kind of shuffle their cards around the board and tailoring their deck, or I'm talking about board games here, but tailoring their fleet to the way they want it. Excuse me, I got a bit of hiccup. Can be quite difficult, especially because it's different laws come into play in different countries and stuff like that. Go ahead.
I think there's another issue that comes into play, which I find frustrating. And that is the argument that what we buy now, people will claim isn't a purchase, it's a pledge. It's just a gift. And in a sense, there is an element where that's right. We basically pledged for the game.
Yep.
And all we needed was that Aurora or Mustang. That's all you needed. That's all you don't need anything. Anything else you get is above and beyond. For those bigger donations or bigger purchases, you get those bigger ships. I personally think they are overpriced for what they are, but in sense, when I was buying them and when I'm buying them, I know that I'm actually back in the game that I actually want produced, and it's not my game. I know that when the game comes out, there are going to be elements in the game that I hate. There are going to be elements in the game that I can't stand.
I don't think there's going to be anyone that has 100% love for the game. I think there's going to be one or two things at least.
I hope at least Chris Roberts has that, because it is his game. It's his dream.
You want to hope,
Yeah. I hope the game is that. I hope the game lives up to his dream.
Yep, I do too.
Because that's what he's been aiming for, and he's been upfront with us all along. He says, "I want to build this game. This is the game I've always wanted. Come and join me."
Yeah.
My hope and my thinking is that most of what he wants is also what I want. So far, I've seen that, but I know there are going to be elements that I hate.
Yeah. You can't please everyone, though. I think we've.
That's right, and I don't. And if you had everything I wanted, I could guarantee it would be not everything you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to compromise, and make as many.
Yeah, and so, and a lot of people don't get that. They don't. It's what? It's Chris Roberts' game, but I paid for it. Yeah, we did, but we did it on the understanding that this is Chris Roberts' game, and I know that's kind of gone along and away from what we're talking about, but
no.
I think it is relevant.
It's related. No, it is relevant. Well, I'll steer us back on track a little bit then. So the other thing, there's a couple of few points left here on the note. So FOMO is another big thing that they use a lot. And FOMO also with the FI wars that you mentioned earlier are a really bad thing. I can understand limited CCUs because they don't want people like upgrading all the heaps, but also limited, like, if people have got the cash, why wouldn't you let them buy it? So I've always found that kind of a bit strange, that they really are limiting that upper echelon quite a bit, and I find it very strange.
I do think part of it does come in with the idea of the fact that people will buy it and then melt it.
Yeah.
And I know people have said to me, "Oh, look, I really want the ship, but what I do?" And I say to them, "Look, if you can buy the ship now, melt everything you've got, buy that ship, then melt that ship until you can buy it back, and then buy back your starter packs and the things you need."
Yeah.
Because once you've got it, it's kind of locked into your hangar, and I think that's part of the fear that CIG have with that. Hey, if it's available and anyone can get it, then we'd end up with every person having one in buyback, and I don't think they want that. And I know that sucks, but I think maybe it's a balancing tool, but it also sucks if you've got the money and you want one and you can't get it. And I know you've tried to get was it the Idris you've tried to get several times back in the day?
I've tried Idris and I've tried Kraken. I think I've moved on to Kraken now, but yeah, I think I might even do a show on me trying to get a Kraken and just see if I can get one. I'm gonna try and return a bunch of stuff and see if I can buy it with cash or credit. Just see what happens and just document the experience. We'll see. I'll have to talk to you about it later. We'll see if a show kind of pops out of it. So the last topic here, we kind of didn't know how to word this because we're worried that this is going to get a bit of
negative press, regardless of which way we got it.
But we're gonna explain ourselves first, and then we're gonna kind of tell you what it is. And so this is another thing between now and then. And one of the things we've noticed is when Sandy left the marketing department, and they hired a new person. That's where this all changed, right? So Sandy ran it from the start right through to, I don't know, I think it was about 2016 or something like that. And then she left, and someone took over. And whoever it is that took over, you can clearly, if you think of like logically, if you are looking for someone to market a video game, you go look for someone with a resume that's done marketing with lots of video games. And so that person has come in with that, all right, I'm a marketing person that made video games. And what do? Like,
Right.
look at EA. They market things for all they're worth and milk people for all the money they're worth. And I think that's
And
where the changes happened.
yeah, and it's hard to, because I know they're trying to do their job, and you look at the spreadsheet and they're doing their job and they're bringing money into the coffers, which is enabling the company to survive and employ people and everything else. But the downside is they've become EA.
So
And
I think we should put it as a question, Algrid. How would people feel about Sandy coming back? How would you honestly feel if Sandy came back on board as a marketing person? Like, now you look back at it, now it's been 4 years that Sandy's kind of moved on. Do you kind of look back and go, geez, well, she's not as bad as what we used to have? Because I know that's the feeling I have. I look back and go, well, you know, I kind of, like, when she was there, lots of people complained that she was there. But now you look at it, do you kind of go, lesser of two evils. Can I have Sandy back, please?
it's almost as if CIG listened to the community, or Sandy listened to the community, but the community was saying, "Oh, Sandy's doing, getting the knickers in a knot and doing all the other stuff they do," and Sandy's okay, fine. I'll step back, and now what we've got is actually, in a sense, worse, and yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those tough things.
So I, like, obviously, as gaming communities evolve and they get bigger, communities change. But for me, and this is, I don't know if this is a whingy veteran older backer type person complaining here, but the heyday has gone. The small community feel, the passion has gone. The only person I see that still has that passion is Chris when he gets on. Everyone else looks tired as shit. They look like me with these big bags under their eyes. Like, they just look tired. And I want that passion back. And when Tony Zerovic is probably the only other one I can think of, he gets up and Mark Avent, the Bug Smashers guys, probably still got. There are a few, okay, right? So Sean Trace is another one. But the point I'm trying to get at is...
Yeah, but Sean Tracy was always like that.
What I'm trying to get at, you're ruining my rant here, is that I want the passion back. I want that small community feel. And I know we're not a small community anymore, but the passion, the reason I donated, the reason you donated, the reason most people donated, because they wanted this dream game. They wanted that passion, that drive. And unfortunately, it's become more about money and less about passion. And I think if they had a really good look at it, I don't know who this marketing person is, or who the head of the marketing is, or who's running that, but I think if they looked at it, that there was a way. It's like Google. This is the way I'll analogy it, right? You know how people at Google get paid less, but they work harder and longer because they have really good stuff where they work there? You've heard of that before, I'm assuming, Agrid? Right, that's what I'm getting at. If you want us to give you money, give us that feeling of passion and that we had back in the day, and don't look like we're just like donating and throwing money at you because we have to. Give us a reason to back it. Give us that dream back, that passion. It's just not there anymore. And this whole lack of communication thing that's been happening over the last 3 or 4 years has got worse and worse. And I think you'll find that that's why that combined with the locking down of ships is really why a lot of older backers are not backing. Agrid, what would you have to say? Would you agree with that, or?
I think there's an element where that is true, where the passion seems to be gone, and I think part of it is just because there's been that exponential growth, and so the passionate community has just been overwhelmed by this new wave. Like, you talk to people about lore, how many people would say, "Oh, I didn't know that"?
Yeah.
Oh, what? I was talking to people about the Constellation, and the Constellation didn't used to have the P-52 on the back. It used to be the hangar in the cargo bay. What? Really?
Yeah.
And just not knowing that history of the ships, and just assuming that what we've got is what was always the case. That type of that loss of passion, that loss of history, that loss of lore, that loss of all that background, really does play against it. But then you've also got the company has grown exponentially as well, And so you've got staff who come in and they may, you've got to try and get them up to speed. Certainly in customer service, I'm imagining that's the case. You get them up to speed, but they still don't have the history. And you could read a history of someone's logs, but you may not still get that idea of where they were and that relationship idea that used to be there. I think
what can I just? I know I'm cutting off a bit, but what I'm trying to get at is, how you get those really big companies, they still retain that home country type of feel, that humble beginnings of about where they came from. This game came from humble beginnings. It started with 8 people, a passion and a dream on Kickstarter, and look where it's gone. You need to go back and self-reflect. You need to take a day off and go back, look at that as a marketing department. I don't know who it is, but you need to go back to those roots, because you'll get a massive influx of cash if you can regain those old backers. And the way to do it is to open it up so they can actually move their fleets around. Like, Algren and I are 2 typical examples of that, but I can tell you, we have many friends, and they are in exactly the same boat. You would agree with that, Algren? There is many people that we
many
talk
Australians
to.
I know are in the same boat.
Not just Australians. I can talk to Dutch people, American, French, all over the board, and that's both on Inforunners, SC Leaks, and other community channels that I jump around. Heaps of them. They've like the amount of money they've spent in the like me and you. I think you and I were talking. We've spent about 200 in the last 3 years each, and that is way down from the previous years where
200 new dollars probably.
Yeah, where previous years we were spending 1,000 a year, so the money output has really dropped down. And so I guess what this whole video is about is like, yeah, we kind of want to give you more money, but we want that passion back, but we really want the ability to buy the ships that we want. And if you don't let us buy what we want, we aren't going to give you money. It's that simple.
Well, I'll be honest, for me, a lot of it is like I'm not someone who can often afford to put $1,000 in a single hit. But
how could you own every ship? Keep going, though. Keep going.
Yeah, but it's a lot of those, a good portion of them I've certainly picked up by doing the lay-by system, where I'd put money in and then save up and then, work towards X title and or buy this ship because I know it's in the pack, but I want to buy. So I'll buy that ship because it's only $100, but I can buy that ship, and then when I'm ready, I can melt it and just use the credits on the pack.
I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm actually going to tell people a bit of my story. So at the time, I was unemployed. I was probably getting maybe about probably would have been about $900 a month. And I was literally eating noodles, baked beans, and just bread to save as much money as I could to buy the ships. Because at the time, the Australian dollar was actually ahead of where the American dollars. It was about $1.10 on the dollar.
$1.10 was the maximum we got.
Yeah, yep. And I remember for 6 months I ate like that, and I managed to save. I think it was I was getting about six. So I was living on about $300 a month, and I was saving about $600 a month. And I just kept putting that money away for 6 months, and that is my entire fleet. It is mainly that is how I did it. And I'm not a rich man. I don't work now. I work on a disability pension. All my upgrades come through Patreon and stuff like that. So things like the new camera and stuff like that. I'm just a normal guy, probably below average guy. And that's how I did it. And I actually reckon there's a lot of people out there that can't even afford to do what I did. If they've got kids or COVID, let's just look at that as another example.
Yeah.
And then there are people like Algrid, and I'm not picking on Algrid, but his job, he's a single guy. He's probably got a bit more money to spend than someone like myself. But I would say Algrid's a fairly typical gentleman. And even he would struggle to spend new money in the system, right? And would you be honest, Algrid, and say you've probably got more disposable income than someone like myself?
Like one of the things I did is I used to collect ancient coins. I used to do miniature wargaming. I used and I've got back into the miniature wargaming. I've got back into a few other things, but that was my hobby money.
Yeah.
And it
Same.
was spread over 3 or 4 different hobbies, and my hobby money just went into Star Citizen.
Yeah. I hear that a
Didn't
lot.
change my lifestyle,
Yeah.
you know.
But would you say that's now pivoting back to the other hobbies now because you're not
Oh yeah,
spending on stuff? That's what I was trying to get at. So your disposable
yeah,
income went into your hobbies, which is really common, you know. And as do mine. Like I put most of mine into board games these days. It's the same thing with our grid. Our grid we're not spending on Star Citizen because it's not spending friendly.
and
You don't feel like you get your money's worth.
and I can buy. You know, I've gone back to buy miniatures. I can buy a pack of miniatures for $100, but I can't put. You know, but if I could gift card and have those credits as being the same value when I go to use them, and not have a problem of I've got to contact CIG and maybe if I'm lucky it'll count as new cash. You
There's
know,
also
if I didn't
that
have those problems,
it's also that thing between a physical item and a digital item. You know,
yep.
because at the end of the day, it's just a duplicated digital item, but those miniatures you talk about, that's a physical item that you can feel and touch and hold, and that has a lot more value to a lot of people than something that's digital. And I think CIG need to realize that, and we are not asking for the world here. We're just asking for ability to obtain. We're asking to give you more money, essentially, to get what we actually want. But the way you've locked things
What's
down.
the line? What's the line in certain ads in Australia at the moment? Shut up and take my money.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a meme from Futurama. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
But that's, you know, we've seen that quite a lot on ads. It's you know, we've seen the memes in terms of CIG sales. You know, there was a disturbance in the community. 100,000 wallets have cried out in anguish and been silenced. And you know, that's not a space station. That's a CIG sale. And you know, you name them. We were running half a dozen of them before shows. We were kind of talking about the issues, and those senses, that sense of, is really, you know, the question: have they turned to the dark side? Have they forgotten their roots? Have they forgotten where they are? And I suppose that's where we're really coming from, isn't it?
I hope this is critical feedback, because I don't want it to come up as whining and bitching and complaining. I actually want to put it in a way that a why. That's the why. I just want you to see the why, if anyone at CIG is watching this. Algar, is there anything you want to add before we wrap up? Because I think we'll leave it there. I think we've kind of really hammered the nails into the coffin, so to speak.
Well, based on what we were saying before, I've got one question.
Yeah, go.
And it's, Sandy, where the bloody hell are you?
Yeah. Actually, I'll be honest. I would take Sandy back. I really, really would.
You know, so
if that means we can go back to 2014 or however it was back then, I actually think more cash would flow in. But that's just my 2 cents. All right.
But on that note,
you go ahead then.
I was going to say, on that note, if you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to leave comments below. We do read every comment. We may not always respond to every comment, but we do read every comment. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. It does actually help feed the algorithm, and these days we need that algorithm just to get, you know, just for YouTube to like us. You can also go the extra yard and support us on Patreon. It really, really does help us upgrade equipment, upgrade what we're doing, and yada yada yada. And on that note,
I was just going to say,
he's been the hairy.
Hang on, before you go out. Yeah, let us know your thoughts on this subject, because I want constructive things in the comments. I don't want bitching and all that. I want things that if CIG employee came here, how would you actually speak to them as a person? What would you say? Tell them how you feel. Tell them, have you brought more ships recently? Would you buy more ships if things changed? You know, like, are you a new backer? Do you find it frustrating? Things like that. Things. Constructive, actual feedback that they would actually listen to. If you're just going to sit there and go, "What?" they're not going to listen.
Yeah, and
so
don't forget, be respectful.
Be respectful. Is long story short. Yeah. All right. He's been Algrid.
So
I've been Execute.
He's been the hairy Yeti. And on that note,
catch you guys next time.
We're out of here. Take care. God bless and be well.